Let's take a look at this framed announcement in the top left-hand corner. Here's the right side of the frame. You see it's rather beautifully set like this, and then all of a sudden it's cut off at the left-hand side and along the top. Now, if you're going to create a brand new engraving, surely you should make it look nice, right? Design 101. But for some reason, this is cut off and this top is cut off, which makes absolutely no sense. And in any case, if you look at Vischer's other work, he never does anything like this. Here's a rather large mural-sized engraving, but it has two such announcements, one at each end, beautifully framed, beautifully balanced, good design. Every time he works, he does this. The framework, the artistry is always perfectly balanced and done with great taste. And so to even think that he would do this makes no sense. In addition to that, you've got a comma here that makes no grammatical sense. The portraiture of the Right Honourable Lords, comma, the two most noble Henrys, comma, should be, revive the Earls of Oxford and Southampton, no period at the end. There should be who revived the Earls of Oxford and Southampton. And these are always dead giveaways that cryptography is afoot. Shifting punctuation and bad grammar in order to make lines line up into a grid that is going to serve your purpose. So the first thing you do is count the number of characters, and it turns out there are precisely 100, and that's pretty much a giveaway that we're supposed to put them into a nice 10 by 10 grid. And so that's what I've done here. Now, one of the first rules of cryptanalysis is that one can look for a crib, that is, a word that would be likely to be found. And since this is all about the idea that these two are potentially brothers, I look first for the word brothers. Lo and behold, there's a block of letters here that gives us exactly that. Except that obviously there's an R missing, so you locate the R nearest, and that's there, which means you have to extend this block of viable letters to include the blue here. Well, lo and behold, that shows you a word that you would automatically be looking for in addition, lineage. And that means you've got to include this E here, so the block gets extended down to include these letters. This is a fairly common system I've seen used by John Dee, but he's been gone for 15 years, so someone's using his system here. But those letters we set aside because we don't know what they mean yet. But it occurred to me that you look at that left-hand block, it's as though it's mimicking this slice of that announcement that's been cut off on the left there. And so looking at that entire block, words begin to pop out. There's out, there's of, there's the word the, and now this is beginning to make even more sense. Out of the brothers' lineage. Then you see the word cut out of the brothers' lineage. This is really beginning to look very significant. There's just one other letter that we don't know what that means yet, and so we'll set those four aside until we have more information. HEBX. But having cut off that left side, it looks as though we probably should be similarly cutting off this top side, which I've done here, and right away we see other letters that make perfect sense. Two. Cut out of the brothers' lineage to what? Priore. Well, this is Latin, the ablative case of the Latin adjective prior, meaning the first, the original. Well, it doesn't take long to see the original what? Father. As we saw before, the word ablative derives from the Latin ablatus, meaning taken away or stolen, and the ablative case is used to express motion away from something. Just as it was used under the horse to suggest herede, the heir taken away, we have here cut out of the brother's lineage to the original father. It could hardly be clearer, could it? But now we have to look at other letters that have been added into this new version of the engraving. Are to be sold by Thomas Jenner at EXC. Okay, And then we also have, of course, that particular symbol under the horse, the der Wehr, that is really der Ehr with a V that is a THV trigraph, very similar to the triple tau symbol used by Rosicrucians and Freemasons. So let's set them all aside and see what they reveal to us. Well, the first obvious crib is Henry de Vere. No surprise there. But which one? If this is telling us anything at all, it's the question concerning, is Henry Roseley a Henry de Vere? Cut out of the brother's lineage to the original father would certainly seem to corroborate that. But we still don't know what HEBX is, and perhaps it's meaning brothers cut out of the priore father lineage too. Well, here's the entire lineage of the de Vere family, starting from Aubrey de Vere all the way down to the 18th Earl Henry de Vere. But is there a gap here? Was there another Henry de Vere, brought up as Henry Roseley? Well, here's where Henry VII would fit in to that timeline. Here's where Henry VIII would fit in. If he was indeed the son of royalty, then he would be Henry IX, and that would be followed by Henry X. And so perhaps we found what these letters really symbolize, to be Henry X. De Vere to be Henry X. Yes, but in order to have a Henry X, you would have to have had a Henry IX. And so is this what this is saying? That they are both brothers, cut out of the original father lineage to be Henry X. Well, maybe another way of saying it is to be ex-Henry. E. de Vere, if he were the one who wrote to be or not to be. Maybe he's saying to be or not be ex-Henry de Vere. That is the question. Well, what are the letters that are left? In Latin, is means this or that, determinative case. This declarat. This is the active indicative present case. It means this declares. Oh, this declares to be or not be ex Henry de Vere. Even the punctuation fits. This declares to be or not be ex Henry de Vere, brothers cut out of the original father lineage to be Henry X. Now, you'd think that would be enough, wouldn't you, to have accomplished this brilliant masterpiece visually, to be stating the same message over and over again. We are true kings. But then to have also proven it perfectly, cryptographically, brothers cut out of the priore father lineage to be Henry the 10th. By every possible measure of excellence, such an accomplishment stands out as a magnum opus unrivaled in cryptography. But the sheer level of danger and daring puts it in a category whereby an inner circle of cognoscenti, obviously brothers in a fraternity, sworn to secrecy, were working on multiple levels to assure it remained hidden for the safety of all involved, but also, of course, that it would surface and be discovered one day. And this brings us back to England, where a relatively little-known document was being carefully prepared to work hand in hand with what you've just seen. It is nothing short of a Rosetta Stone that tells us what to look for and reveals how to decode it once found. Please tune in to Part 6, Honor, Virtue, and Nobility.